Quintana, coming to you from the Beehive. Today I'm going to show you how to make an action card using the Tasty Truck stamp set. And this Tasty Truck stamp set is a celebration stamp set, which means that you can earn it free with a $50 purchase in my Stampin' Up! Store until March 31st, 2017. It was actually this stamp set that inspired this card because one of the greetings says, "Happy birthday, now where's the cake?" And I wanted to put the cake on the card, but there was no cake in this particular stamp set. So I really was wondering, where's the cake? So I looked at some of the other stamp sets that I had, and one of them was the Endless Birthday Wishes stamp set, which has a cake and lots of other great greetings. So I thought if I used the two of them together, I could come up with a really great card. So here's the card that I made, and I stamped this little truck on here, and I watercolored it, and then I stamped my little greeting, and then on the side I have this little tag that pulls out and it has the cake on it. So now we know where the cake is. So this makes it a nice little surprise that you have this little tag here on the side to pull out. Now let me show you how to make this card. To start off with, you're going to need a piece of pool party cardstock, and I've cut this piece to 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and then I've scored it in half at the 4.25 inch mark. Then I folded it along the score line to create my card. Now we can just set this aside for a little bit later. Next, you're going to need a piece of shimmery white cardstock, and I've cut this piece to 5.5 inches by 2.25 inches. So that I know where to stamp, I'm going to make myself a little mark, and I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure over 1 inch from the left hand side, and I'll just put myself a little pencil mark down at the bottom. Then I'm going to take my basic black ink pad and let me open it up. We are going to be watercoloring on this shimmery white, and we're going to be doing that using blender pens. And I've found that working on the shimmery white, it has a bit of a coating on it, and it allows the colors to move over the surface a little bit more easily than when using the thick whisper white. But if you don't have shimmery white for the moment, you could try it using thick whisper white. I've already got my little truck mounted on a block, and the one other thing that I want to do, because this is a different type of ink pad, it's not a squishy foam type ink pad, I'm going to put a little bit of padding underneath my cardstock so I'm going to get a better imprint of my stamp. So I'm going to ink my stamp up, and I'm going to make sure that I get good coverage on the entire stamp. Tap it a few times. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make sure it's centered top to bottom and that the end of my truck lines up with my pencil mark that I just made. And then I'm just going to press this down, leave it on the paper for a few seconds to make sure I've got a good imprint, and then lift it off like that. Then I'm going to take my greeting and I'm going to ink it up. This is the one that says "Happy Birthday, now where's the cake?" I'm going to stamp it right at the front of the truck, down near the bottom, like that. Then I'm just going to set this aside for a moment. We're going to stamp the tag at the same time. So this is also a piece of shimmery white cardstock, and I've cut this piece to 4.25 inches by 2 inches. And again, I'm going to make myself a mark about 1 inch over from the left hand side, just down at the bottom. And then I'm going to take my cake stamp. This one again is from the Endless Birthday Wishes stamp set. And I'm going to stamp it just to the left of that pencil mark and centered from top to bottom, like that. And then from that same stamp set, I've put on here "Hip Hip Hooray" for my greeting. There's a number of other greetings that would look nice on the inside as well, so just choose one that you like. And I'm going to just stamp that down on my tag like that. So when I'm using basic black ink, I need to heat set it before I watercolor with it, otherwise it will smudge. So I've got my heat tool here, and I'm just going to heat set this with my heat tool. You don't really need to do the greetings because you're not going to be watercoloring over top of the greetings, but I'm just going to hit it just a little bit. Now my images are ready for watercoloring, and I'm going to be using the new watercolor pencils from Stampin' Up! And I've already pulled out the colors that I need, and we're going to be using a blender pen. So let's start off with a cake, and I'm going to start off with this one's Bermuda Bay. And what I like to do with these watercolor pencils is I just like to start shading the perimeter of the area that I'm going to be blending in with my blender pen. So I'm going to do all my colors first just to save time. So then I've also got Real Red, which actually doesn't end up being super intense. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it full strength on what would be the icing and the top of the cake. Now all of these pencil lines will be smoothed out once I blend them with my blender pen. Then up at the top here, I'm going to use some Daffodil Delight, and I'm just going to swirl them around this little kind of asterisk representing the flame. And then I'm going to take some basic gray, and I'm not going to do the full cake stand, but I'm going to start over here on the side and just kind of come along the bottom, and then the same for the base of the stand. I'm just going to come over and do the one side. So it's really quite simple. I'm just going to pull open one side of the blender pen. Okay, and it's running clear. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have any leftover color on it. And then I'm just going to do kind of small little circles, and I'm going to start blending that blue, the Bermuda Bay. This blender pen has a clear liquid in it that allows me to blend colors. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a white space right in the center like that. Then when I'm done with that color, I'm just going to wipe a little bit on my grid paper so that I get rid of any of the blue. And then let's go in and do the red, and I'm just going to blend the icing. This looks so nice, and the shimmer, the shimmery white paper allows me to blend really smoothly on here. So there's not a lot of room to put white space on the icing, so I'm just going to leave that. And then I'm going to squiggle, get rid of the red. I'm going to come down here on the cake stand, and I'm just going to blend the color just on the edge a little bit. And then I'm going to do the same down here. But I'm going to leave quite a bit of white so you can see that. Let me get rid of the gray. I'm just going to come around on the outside and make that yellow halo just a little bit bigger, like that. So there's my finished tag with the cake. So let's go ahead and watercolor this truck now. There we go. We've got the two pieces that we need watercolored with the watercolor pencils. So next, let's put the front of the card together. I'm going to set this tag aside for a moment, and I'm just going to use my Tombow here to adhere my truck piece to the front of the card. And I want this centered on the front right here. It fits all the way across the front, but just kind of eyeball it. Make sure there's the same amount of pull party on the top and the bottom. And then when it looks good, just press it down so it adheres nicely to the paper. Then I'm going to take my 1-inch circle punch, and I'm going to come in here from the left side. I'm going to bring my punch in halfway. I'm going to make sure there's the same amount of white on this side and on that side. And when that looks about even, you're just going to give it a little punch. And that piece should fall out. And this is your little thumb hole for your tag. And then to add just a little something to the front, we're going to use some Tasty Treats Designer Series paper. And I've cut 2 strips of this paper to 5.5 inches by 1/4 inch. And I'm just going to put a little bit of Tombow along the back of one of the strips. And I'm just going to put that right below my white piece like that. And I'm going to do the same for this other piece. And I'm going to put it right on top of the truck like that. So the front of the card is finished, so now we need to do the pocket for the tag. So to create the pocket, you're going to need your Simply Scored scoring board. And I've got a piece of Pool Party cardstock here, and I've cut this piece to 4 5/8 inches by 2 7/8 inches. We're going to score this on 3 sides, and we're going to score it at the 3/8 inch mark. I'll turn it a 1/4 turn, score it at the 3/8 inch mark again, and another 1/4 turn and at the 3/8 inch mark again. Then you're going to need some tear and tape. And I'm just going to run it along these scored sides. We're going to cut things away in a bit, so I'm just going to kind of do a rough job of putting tear and tape down because we're going to cut away those corners. So I'm just kind of laying it down quickly. And we're going to cut away those 2 corners, and I'm just going to do it a bit on an angle like this and like this. So the corner plus just a little bit more. I'll do the same for the other side. The corner plus a little bit more. And then I'm going to fold this along the score lines. And then I'm going to remove the liner. So let's do the long sides first. And then we're going to do the short side. So I'm going to kind of push the long sides down and then put that short side on top like that. Then you're going to bring your card in, and we're going to adhere this to the back of the front of the card. So it's pretty easy to do. So you want your pocket to come in lengthwise like this. So you're going to line up your open side of your pocket with the edge of the cardstock here. And if you center it from top to bottom, you should be pretty good. So I'm just going to kind of make sure it looks centered. It's lined up against the edge. And once I like the way that looks, I can just adhere that down. Now I have a little pocket for my tag. I would like to get rid of this little piece right here. So I'm going to bring in my 1-inch circle punch again. I'm going to scoot it in, and I'm going to line it up, and then I'm going to give it a little punch. So now the front of the card has a nice thumb hole. Then remember the tag that we stamped earlier. That is going to fit inside here like that. I'm going to make myself a pencil mark right on the tag, kind of in the center. Let me show you how that looks. Okay, and that's where I'm going to punch a hole for the ribbon. So let me pull that out again. I'm going to use my 1/8 inch handheld circle punch, and I'm going to peek from the top. See that where it's going to punch is right on that pencil mark, and punch away. Then I'm going to take some of this beautiful Bermuda base stitch ribbon, and I need probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 inches to tie a decent knot. And I used to do a slip knot when I did these type of tags, but the shimmery paper is a little slick, so I'm going to tie it in a slightly different way than I normally do. So I'm just going to pull the ribbon through so that it's even, and I'm actually going to tie a knot and bring it close to the end, because I find this way that the knot actually will stay closed a little better than if I do my usual little slip knot. So now I just need to be really careful. I want this knot as close to the tag as possible, like that. And then you can decide how long you want your pieces of ribbon to stick out. So you just cut them off to where you think is a good length. Then all you have to do is tuck your tag back inside your little pocket. And now when someone gets the card and they want to know where the cake is, all they have to do is pull the little tag and the cake will be there for them. Then on the inside, if you want, you can use some of the extra greetings from the Endless Birthday Wishes stamp set. And I've taken a little piece of designer paper and put it down. So then you can just glue that into the inside of the card. Then you've got a really fun action card that you can give to someone on their birthday. All the supplies you'll need to make this card are available for purchase on my blog. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Bye for now. If you like this tutorial, be sure to check out all the free with purchase tutorials available on my blog. The Sweet and Sassy Heart Boxes tutorial is just one of the exclusive tutorials that you can choose free with a minimum purchase in my Stampin' Up! Store.